So, oh, now noise cancelling disabled, that's good. So, welcome to today's stream, and today I want to work on some small little fun side project that, yeah, basically we have already on AngularExperts.io, we have something like under products. We have something that is called Code Tailor, and Code Tailor is something that allows you to come up with some code samples. For example, you want to share them on Twitter, you want to share them somewhere, and you can edit it here. But I want to make like a dedicated page, even like completely new with analog for this, and bring in some additional features. Maybe I will port them then back. But the whole thing is powered by the Skull theme. So let's see. I want to call it Brew Lab. So that will be the name of that project. So let's first go to GitHub, create a new repository, and we will use analog, and also we will use the how is it called, the .analog format. I mean, they have an official term, but I don't remember the actual term actually, but there's an official term. So we will generate the BrewLab repository. It's a public repository. How is it called? They have analog docs, experimental SFC, analog SFC, and SFC stands for single file component, or I don't remember. I think it's single file component probably. Yeah, single file components. So to get started with analog, what we will do is we will do npm create analog latest. So let us open up terminal, and also I quickly have to change the sound. What do we do this one? So documents code private, and then we do create analog latest. We want to proceed, we want to install. Analog is now at 1.6.2. It's crazy, like not so long ago they made like version 1. Hi, I wish a good broadcast to you. Thank you. Thanks for joining. Project name will be Brew Lab. We will go with a full stack application. So full stack, that's kind of the standard in analog, because you also get automatic server side. You also get a server where you can put some REST endpoints, or you can even do like other stuff, which is pretty cool. I think the block just has some extra things. Would you like to add Tailwind? I mean, Tailwind is cool, but I like it and I don't like it. I kind of like the idea. I would not say that Tailwind is bad, but if you are not used to use Tailwind regularly, I feel like I'm faster with plain CSS than using Tailwind. But it's just if you are used to it. I think if you are used to it, you can get super productive with it. But if not, then yeah. I find it hard, and also my HTML becomes really unreadable. Node package may not be installed. What? Doesn't the analog command install the node packages out of the box? Isn't there a package log? Nothing? Yeah, there's probably no package log because the node modules were not installed, but I would expect it does that. So I'm opening up BrewLab. Here we go. I'm curious about what to do with analog and this broadcast. That's cool. So first of all, great that you are excited. Yeah, analog generally has, because we have already the SSR in Angular, right? So we have server-side rendering now out of the box. So if you go and you do like a new Angular project, so if we would do here like npx ng, let's go one up, npx ng new something. So basically what would happen is that Angular allows us to choose this option. So it says, do you want to enable server-side rendering, SSR, or even SSG? Like both options are possible, depends on your use case. And so with SSR, so basically Angular has SSR support out of the box by default now. So the SSR story improved quite a lot. I think when analog started, this was not even the case yet. But still, if you use it like this, you still have to do some stuff manually, especially when it comes to routing. When it comes to routing, you have to basically put the routes together yourself. So you have to configure each route and you have to use the router outlet to route between the routes. Analog on the other side allows you to easily have routes based on the file structure that you have. And this makes it way easier to generate like new routes. And also, of course, you have SSR out of the box, you have read under the hood out of the box. But Angular now also uses ESBuild, so. But generally this is pretty cool. And they also have this single file component format, which we will see in a bit. That's purely experimental and it's purely analog. I think they started naming it .ng file, and there was a lot of people who were not really happy with naming them .ng file because it sounded like it's an official thing from Angular, but it's actually not. It's just an analog specific thing. And I think therefore they changed it to .analog. But yeah, not all the people like it, but I personally really like the SFC format. So therefore, let's enable it. So we have our analog running. That's good, that's already SSR. So right, if we would check what we get from the backend. So if we check like all, and then we would go and search for the local host, what we get here, you can see it's not just an app root, I think. That should be everything in there. So this should be already server-side rendered. Yeah, we get the styles, we get the body, we get the router outlet and stuff. You can see inside here you have the app home, which is the app home component, you have the div. So it's already SSR. If it's not SSR, you only get the app root inside here. Sure, no worries. You're welcome. So now, let's see, we go to the I think we have to configure the read config, yeah. And here we can already see that we have the analog plugin. And in this analog plugin, we now have to put in a config object, basically read. Oh my god, that sound, that's Super Mario. So, yeah, we basically now use the analog plugin and we configure it with the experimental support analog format true. Now what that means, we have our app and we have our app component here. So that's currently a normal app component here. And that's good. Now what we could do, we could go ahead and let's imagine we want to use something. Of course, inside here we have pages, so that's the index page, that's the default one, and that's the thing that we see here. Basically, we see the title, analog, is super cool. Now we can see that the title changes. So that's kind of the index route, and that's what I meant previously with you have the routes and you have the default routes. So you do not need to wire that out with a route config. Basically everything that goes inside pages and is named.page, index.page.ts, that will be a route. So that's the index route, but you could also go here and create like a home.page.ts, and that would become the home route. So that's kind of the benefit of analog. And now inside here, let's say you want to use like test.component.ts. What we could do is we could scratch out a component, standalone true, selector, test, then the template. We just go with a simple inline template, which is just test. Change detection we probably put on push. So we export this test component, right? And then we just go to our index page. We search for imports. Don't we have any imports yet? No, we don't have imports. So let's go here and let's spit in the test component, right? And now we could start using the test component here. So we just called it test, I think. Something like this, and then we see test. So that's kind of cool. But now let's see what the magic of analog of this, not really the magic of analog, but the magic of this analog experimental authoring format called SFC, what it actually is. So again, in the Vite config, where's the top level Vite config, we were setting up support analog format. So what we could do is we could come here, refactor that to test_component.analog, and now inside here what we can do to write exactly the same component is just this. We could just have a template. I think it's template, and then inside here we do h1 test. And now we should probably install some extension to have proper support for that .analog file. I think they have for JetBrains, so I'm using JetBrains products. I think they have a .analog. Also for VS Code they have an analog format. I guess it is this one. Installed, apply. I guess I have to restart. Now it's already working. Now you see that this is recognized as with an analog icon, and I think it's called template. And this should already give us an analog component. I think the import is then different because I think the problem is inside this import here, because we call it from test. Do I have to use it uppercase? So let's see, because here what they do, this doesn't yet work. What they do here is they have Using components. When using the analog format, you do not need to explicitly export anything. The component is the default export of the .analog file. That makes sense. So we have an app.analog, and that's probably like this. I can call it test or test component. Let's call it test component. And I think, of course, here it's an test component. And here I probably have to use it like this. And still not. So I do not get an error, but I probably have to restart since... Do I have to restart? That feels weird, that on my index page from app.analog, and I mean a component in analog is just should be like this, just template, and you do something inside the template. Also these, I think, I have the feeling that this should be recognized. Now, app home test component. Maybe this is wrong. Lifecycle method, inputs and outputs. So that's basically the component, but yeah, here the output is consumed my item. I am missing something. Ah, that's the Vite plugin, but then there is additional configuration. Ah, that's just if you're using it outside the project. Hey Tayamba, what I'm up to, I basically want to implement a code editor, something similar to this, to Carbon. Something similar to this, just for fun. But with a different highlighting, basically with the skull highlighting. That skull is like the plugin that I use for my code inside here. So this, I like this highlight, so I want to use that. And now I'm trying to do it with analog, and I wanted to show how you can use analog. And now I'm basically failing by displaying a analog component, because I like the new authoring format. I want to display now a analog component inside a template. So let's go, and I do like, here I am. Then I get this, and now I do the test component. I don't get the test, I don't get an error. And I'm wondering how we need to use here they import layout header and they use it like this. So I would expect this to work actually. I don't even need the styles. But somehow I get the test component, but I do not get anything rendered for whatever reason. Test.component.analog. I mean, what if I do a script lang ts so that allows me to use scripts in here, and I say test or title is a signal which I import and I call it my title, and then inside here I do title. And does it have to be, I think in analog it has to be let or something, if I'm not mistaken. Button template or const. Yeah. But now I somehow do not get it inside my page. What if I do it inside the app component? What if I come here and say import test component from /page? Is it because it's in the pages? I don't feel that this should make any kind of impact. Now I do not get that because I do not display the router outlet, which makes perfect sense. But still, I'm routing, I'm displaying the indexed page. What if I move that outside? I mean, we are using it for the download tracker, I think. There I'm using it for sure. Download. Because here we have the pages and we have components. And this is all .analog. And in this index page.analog, this is all. Does the page have to be .analog? I mean, here we are saying index page.analog. Yeah, hi Edward, thanks for joining the stream. Yes, we have set the support analog format in the read config. We have set that to true, so that's this line that you are referring to. And I'm just curious, like, what if I do this, if I rename this to .analog? And now the whole thing, what I want to do in here is just a template. And I want to say, hello there. That's working. Hi Risley, how is it going? So all fine by me. Playing around with analog and trying to import a non-analog component inside a normal Angular component, and that doesn't seem to work. But now let's see. So if I put in like a script that's language is TypeScript, and we are going to use import test component from / test component .analog, something like this. I do not get it. Because now we are importing, in the app root we have the index, which is now analog, and we get this test component. Let me see if, because the test component itself, it's just test component analog, and I have a title and I have a script. Cool. But then here, I'm importing test component from test component analog. So that seems to be the same. Import hello from hello. That makes sense here. That would make sense. So this with analog imports basically, okay, still not. So the with analog imports is basically a way of saying, please add that to the imports array that analog kind of brings here. But still, like, why isn't this rendered? Test. Even if I do this. So now it's kind of... I mean, again, here we also did that, and here it was working. So here I import most downloaded. Is it the name? I mean, the order, I don't think that the order matters, or? So, pretty confused. Again. This file format is experimental, yeah, the .analog file extension, new file format, that's good. Script and style, yes, performance first, on push, and no access to do check, that's cool. To use the analog, you need to use the analog read plugin or the analog astro plugin with an additional flag. We have that. You must also uncomment the type information in the source. We didn't do that, but that... I mean, that's uncommented, I guess. If you're using, yeah, that's just additional configuration. We installed the plugin. Is something cached there? I'm not sure, like something seems off. Now I even get, like, look what I get. The standard analog page. Where does this come from? This is no longer in my code. Like, where is this coming from? Then I do a hard refresh. And then suddenly I get hello there. Something is wrong. Let's clean the node modules again. I don't know if something's cached there. It feels a bit weird. I have to reach out to Brandon. Yeah, I actually didn't want to focus too much on that. I just thought it's cool to use that .analog format, but now somehow when you play around with the experimental stuff. But to be fair, I used it also in other cases and it just worked. Also, I would expect that if I do something wrong, then please give me at least some sort of error. Or does it need to follow like otherwise we will leave away the .analog format, but layout.analog. Inject, so import layout footer. Can I name this component or no, that should be. Even the ID gets it. Nothing. Test component 00. What is like? Why? And also, where is the content here? So I can use that analog format for the page itself, but then inside that page, it seems like I cannot use analog for whatever reason. Did I do that correctly or did I? Analog VEAT required to use the analog SFC experimental support analog format true. Export default define config, build target, plugins, analog. And he said something here like you need to use the analog Astro plugin or analog VEAT plugin. I mean, I guess that's the one, right? At analog VEAT plugin and Angular. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, here are. I am so curious why this doesn't work. I mean, if you have ever heard of that Angular download tracker, there I'm basically using this. So let's quickly open. Otherwise, I will just continue with the other thing. But Angular download tracker. That's a project we also did on stream, and that one. So if I start that, Wow, what is now up? Oh. So somehow, when I go on stream, it seems like a lot of things are just like not working, huh? So let's do an install. Let's do start here, because this is running in production, so come on. Like, what's up? Do I have local changes? I do have local changes. Okay, that kind of makes sense. Let's see if we can get that up and running. Now, that's the Angular download tracker, right? So that shows you the most downloaded versions of Angular, and you can see that Angular version 9 is like still the most downloaded one. But let's see what we have here. We have a Vite config, and there we have analog plugin. We have the experimental flag. Then we have some source folder, and inside there we have app.analog. So our whole app is analog, but I think that doesn't matter really. Pages. We have an index page analog, and that one imports this most downloaded with analog imports, and then we just display it, and we get the same errors and so on. And I have zero clue why it works here, why it doesn't work here. No idea. I really don't know. That's sad. I really wanted to use the why. So yeah, this stream suddenly changes into figuring out why that doesn't work in analog. So we have also test component like this, and then if we check the Marcel, the Angular download tracker, and we inspect here, most download is also, it's like all lowercase, so there's not really a difference. So that's the test component. We can even, to be absolutely sure, like we can even get rid of this. And then inside here we do test. Yeah, it's just not working. Test dot component dot analog. Like, I guess that I do not have a typo. Let's copy the whole name. And let's paste it. Really? Ah, that's still the hello there. Okay. Yeah, I have no idea why this doesn't work, like, literally no idea. We do not have to add any extra stuff here. So probably, maybe I have to reach out to Brandon, like, really, and ask him. So I guess, like, for everybody watching, that's I'm doing something wrong and it's not the fault of analog. But still, I was so looking forward to using this test component. I mean, it's a default, it's a self-closing, but that shouldn't actually matter. Oh, that's frustrating. Yeah. Again, using components. When using the analog format, you do not need to explicitly export anything, right? The component is the default export of the .analog file. Import app from ./app, app.analog. To use the components, you need to add them to your imports. Alternatively, you can use import attributes as explained in the following section. So yeah, we could define metadata. That would work. I mean, let's see if that's even the issue. Test component. And then if we do it like this, then we do not do this. Nothing. So define metadata, he basically adds layout header, layout footer, and then in the template he just accesses them exactly the way he imported them here. A component selector is not determined by the imported name, maybe that's the important thing, but rather determined by the name of the file. If you change your imported name to layout header heading, and this is called layout header.analog, it would not work as expected. That's probably what I'm doing wrong here. How are you writing it? Hey Nia, how is it going? I'm basically doing test component, so I had it like this. And I think, but this should be the correct file name, or it will not work. To solve this, you need the name of the default import to match the name of the .analog file. Is it? I think the problem is, does it only need test? Where is your test component? My test component is right next here. That's basically the test component. And in the download tracker, how did we name it? So here I basically went with most downloaded.component, and then we just did most downloaded without .component. So it could mean that we should only do test. And here we go. Oh my god. Okay, so it's actually all written in the docs. So who reads this part is super important. What do you mean with fixing the import? To just have it the same like this. But now also the analog plugin, I would expect, why is this now gray? Like, or is this maybe my theme? Maybe it's my theme that is not really supporting the .analog. But yeah, so that's okay. Now that's working, that's good. Finally. So it was not the purpose of the stream, but I could not, I don't know. So what is super important, that you name that the file name or the way you use your component has to match the file name. And the file name is just layout header. And if you do layout header.component.analog, then it kind of strips away the first thing after the dot. It's only the first thing before the dot. So only layout header would be the name. And that's the thing that I did wrong. So what I did is I did test component here, because I thought it has to match what you import here, but actually not. So, okay, now we can finally start doing our stuff. So I would say in the index page.analog, what I wanted to do is actually, I don't really need this component. Yeah, let's struggle for it for half an hour and then just delete it. That's cool. But I don't need it. And what I need here is basically a div and some styles. So let's say styles, we write like this, style. Does analog support Sus? I kind of like the SCSS dialect of Sus. So we go with this and we call this the container. Let's call it container. And then what I really like, I want to play around with this. There are two kind of effects. There is SRE, hi, welcome to the stream. There are two kind of effects. There is this glassmorphic effect. That's like glassmorphic designs. So those are the ones which are a bit shiny. That's also something similar to what we used in the Angular download tracker. So these are the glassmorphic designs, and there is also neumorphic design, which goes a bit more into this direction. And I think I want to play around with that to have it kind of in a neumorphic design. And there's a pretty cool yeah, not this one. Was there? I think this one. So let's see here. You can basically say where it should shine from. So it should kind of come from the bottom. And I will probably want to go with the background color a bit darker than the one that I have here. So is there like, I think I have an extension called Color Slurp, which allows me to basically pick the color here. So I take that one and put that here. Good. Now it's very, very hard to see anything. So we probably have to bring up the intensity. Yeah, that's too hard to see anything. Might have to go a bit lighter. Or let's see, maybe I can change then because here it somehow uses the same background, but I actually want to have the background then a bit lighter. So let's again paste the color in there and then do like a bit of a smaller distance, a bit more intensity, a bit more blur, the size, whatever, I don't really care. Let's go with this style. So let's copy that over and let's say that our dot container has this border radius, probably the 50 pixels is way too much. We have to give it a, let's go with a max width of 1680 pixels. And then we do margin right auto and margin left auto. Something like that. And let's give it, just that we see it, a background of white. Is it even... I mean, that should now apply, so let's see. Container, no styles applied. mean, I shouldn't need to put that in if I give it a... So that's there, but still, like, there are no styles. If I would go like background white, it should at least have this, and then with 1000. So it seems like we do not have the styles applied. So let's see, styles using an external authoring. I mean, I just do like style. Shouldn't I do that at lang? Now I get some styles. That's the min width, is probably then also the... That's more like min width, 1680. Or like... So max... No, it was correct to have it as a max width, but then the width is 100%, I guess. Also, the background white is not applied because I did a linear background. So we have the max width, and we have a margin right auto and a margin left auto. Probably we have to set one thing more. Didn't we also do that here? CSS. Then we do a main the display flex doesn't help. So the problem is I quickly have to check something. I did that recently. I thought that the width 100 would help. It's very hot here today. So we have a container. Why doesn't the container grow like width 100%? Max width, we have that. We have a margin right and margin left auto, and we have some box shadows and so on. CSS container with 100%, not why does it make are there some styles in here? Yeah. So there were some analog styles. Okay, now it makes sense because I was like, yeah, why doesn't this work? So the thing is that now, but this container should now be limited to 1600, and it is. You can see how basically if I go full screen, you can see how it's limited to 1680. Maybe that's a bit too much. So maybe we have to bring that down to 1280. I would expect something like this. Okay, good. So there were some styles. So let's say the body. I mean, what did we have here? Like the body kind of looked good. So the only thing I want to keep are the body styles. Yeah, something like that. And now we go with not display flex place items. This one also not like margin 0 good, but we want to give it a background of, if we go with black and we do dark, something like this, but now probably a bit lighter. I would say like, let's go here. And then here we re-add that. Go again to 1200. And now do we get that effect even? Like, I don't really think that we get it. Kinda. But I guess to really get that effect, you probably really have to do maybe we have to go full intensity, lower distance, right? The radius, I actually don't mind too much, like bit of blur. Yeah, but that's the effect, that's the one I want. But then I think what we have to do is we have to set the background on the whole thing to this color. Kinda. Still not so good because the distance. Okay, it's hard to get this this effect right. feel like this should be good. Yeah, the distance probably. Hello, hello Ralph, how is it going? So, okay, this is not, but you see how basically the effect is achieved. Like the intensity, maybe I still feel the distance has to be lower. Intensity has still to be high. Maybe this is also not the best. I don't know if it's the best generator. Let's check for some others. Neumorphic generator. Yeah, it's actually this one, and here it looks pretty cool for white, but maybe it doesn't work with all the colors. Maybe it's not so easy to do with darker colors. Quite well. Try to experiment by hexagonal architecture. Wow. What is a hexagonal architecture? Ah, okay, I see. Nice. What kind of side project are you doing? I still wonder if I can get that really nice with the colors that I want. I'm really curious, because I feel like this neumorphic effect works nice for light colors, but here I kind of have a hard time seeing even my it doesn't really work that great for this color here actually, and I wanted to yeah, maybe we have to go with some contrast, I don't know. Yeah, let's go with some dark green actually. I mean, we want to basically bring it close to skull, right? So like products. Inside skull I also have this this dark gray, this dark green actually. So if I come with this here, we can see that it looks pretty okay. So we will do some radius. We'll go less intensity, even less blur. Distance I kind of like. Yeah, that doesn't look good. I mean, the test we can basically take away. Yeah, and we should center that whole thing. Like still display flex. Do we actually have to center it? I'm not sure if we really want to center it. I think we just need some top margin. So basically margin top 200 pixels or whatever, like something. Job portal by only for front-end developers. Nice. I found it in the US. The service marketplace only for Tesla customers, so the idea is to narrow the area. I'm not sure if I fully got it. I found it in the USA service marketplace only for job portal by only for front. I'm not sure if I fully got it. But this, I'm wondering. Yeah, because look at the wide one. This works so nicely. If I would go with this, and then I basically in the styles, I do not pick a background. This works. Why doesn't the dark one work? Dark one is way harder to make somehow. I mean, but look at this one. Neumorphic dark. Let's see. CodePen, how do they make this work? Dark, neumorphic form. Here, for example. I mean, the contrast is not so crazy, but still. That looks cool. Actually, what I want, neumorphic dark card. I actually want a card. A big. Yeah, I'm not super convinced yet. Yeah, the white one just looks way better. Aha, okay. Okay, I see, yeah. So yeah, I'm curious, once you have your website, I'd be curious, feel free to share it. Also this card, it looks nice, but that's the white one. Isn't there like a dark? I mean, those one here, they look good. Is there some? This one looks good. Isn't there like a code pen or something? It's still that form, but I feel like it's pretty hard to come up with that correct combo. These are like can I get that? Also, maybe I just pick like quickly. I just pick exactly this code pen color. Last week we explored some potential new trends in UI design, with one particular trend gaining a lot. Skymorphism has been called in the comments. I decided to skip the O and the name. Neomorphism came alive. Yeah, I cannot read that. Yeah, so I just feel like it doesn't look so good. What if we set a background here as well? I mean, it's kind of there, but I'm not super happy. Maybe, what if I go in the background a bit lighter here? Kind of. The gradient still looks a bit off. I mean, no. Has to be almost a bit darker. So yeah, see, this kind of stuff is pretty. What if I just go without, not with a gradient, but just with one color? Maybe that looks better. Kind of works, but a bit lighter. Yeah, I mean, it kind of works, but yeah, let's just quickly continue, because otherwise I can still make this offline. But just the white one looks like way cooler. I think the white one is so much nicer. Also here, like, if you go to the white one, it's just like you get that real effect, while here you do not get that effect so strongly, I feel. But yeah, so what we want to do, I said we want to display a code editor actually. And now there are multiple ways of doing this. So one would be that we can do it with NGX code editor, or today my friend Thomas posted something. He told me that there is now one that is also Angular capable, or basically not like an Angular module, but it's capable of highlighting Angular syntax, and that is called Shiki. That's this one. So that's a code highlighter. But I'm wondering, I can also edit it. So let's try to use that, and then maybe provide some themes for that. So let's see. Guide getting started. Shiki that's Japanese for style. Text me and blah blah blah. So ESM, lazy, loaded on demand, and bundler friendly, nice. Portable and agnostic. Does not rely on Node. Works in modern JavaScript runtime, so it works in the browser. ESM only, that's good. Light dark theme support, and so on. Playground. Yeah, so here we have the different languages, that's cool. And we can go in and edit to use. So let's go. Shiki Miki. How is the proper pronunciation for this? Shiki. It's Japanese. Ski. Okay. Not Shiki. I prefer Shiki, to be honest. Shiki. Okay. So let's see now. So our app is running here. That's good. Now Shiki, what do? We have installed it. Now you install Shiki. Usage. The quickest way to get started with Shiki is to use the provided shortened functions. These will load the necessary themes and languages on demand and automatically cache them in memory. Passing your code snippet to the code to HTML function with the lang and theme specified. So yeah, you basically import code to HTML from Shiki. So let's maybe make like an editor. So let's go here. I still don't know the best way of organizing analog. Maybe we do like directory shared. So that would be if you have multiple pages. And then I would go like editor.analog, just .analog. I feel like to get around that weird issue that we have initially, I feel like I do not write .analog at all. So .analog, .component. So we have a TypeScript, and now we import just wondering, like await code to HTML. Can I do this await here? Yeah, probably. Even though it's not an async function. But yeah. I mean, what is it saying? Expected free lang. I mean, let's see what this does. And then probably we have to use the editor. So we would go here, we would add. I'm not sure about the order yet, but I guess template is top. And then I kind of like script somehow. And here style can be lang CSS. So can I then in analog, could I theoretically mix SCSS and less? And now I do import editor from shared editor.analog. And then how is this with analog imports? Analog is pretty cool, I have to say. So shout out to Brandon Lake. Now it's broken. Why is it broken? Editor analog import. So I guess the editor itself would be working if we have it like this, just to make sure. Analog is working. I mean, it's actually more editor is working. But now we should probably place it inside the container. Also, where is my container? This one broke it. Cannot really have that. Now the container is back, yeah. So the editor is working. Now the C key is broken. But is it? So you get internal code and options. So shorthands, the quickest way to get started is to use the provided shorthand functions. Passing your code snippet to the code HTML function with the lang and theme, it will return a highlighted HTML string. Why do I get here an error? Unexpected reserved word. So I guess it's really that, I mean, this doesn't make sense. I guess it's this line. Or is it because we call await? I mean, this basically is like a function that returns promise. So we could go .then and just pass in a result handler. And bring it up here. I mean, based on the TypeScript, it just returns a string. So there's no .then based on the TypeScript, but not based on the docs. Promise. Pending. Okay, nice. So then basically what we had was actually correct. And here we get something. Is that the result from here? I mean test, and then we get cheeky whatever. And I guess if I take that and just display that on the page. So let's say, or basically, let's first answer the question analog async await. Can we use, so I guess I would do like a async function to run it, and inside here we would use something like this. So we come here, we say const HTML equals like this. Yeah, HTML, and here we probably have to use await, and yeah, that works. So we get that, and I guess that's already fully styled. So let's say we have a signal, so we have our code, we have our HTML, and then we just say we just ignore the promise here. Let's call this init. Init, and then, I mean, could this also be like async after does that work? Yeah. So that would work. So we would have that after render. Probably it's just like after after next render. And then how was it, like they added a new object after next render. They added some face. So previously we had that like this, but now in Angular, which version are we also? I think here it's still probably still face here. No, it's deprecated. Deprecated. Specify the face. A spec object. Passing a spec object is the first parameter. I just know that they changed this. Angular 18.1 after next render. Where was that? Ninja Squad. After next render. Yeah, it's an object, and then we have write. So basically, after next render. Oh my god. Now I'll break it. So it's like an object. Read. And the read will be that async callback, which does something. It's early read, or just read. Why is this not good? What? I mean, it works. I don't know what the idea has. But the idea now is, if I say like HTML, or I would basically have inside here a div, which I call this is the editor. I guess I have to set this as the inner HTML. So I would say const editor is view child of the editor. Editor dot probably like this, native element. I mean, actually, we do not have to do it like this. We can just say like formatted code is equal to a signal, and that's just empty. Then here we do formatted code.set HTML, and then inside here we just say this is the div, and we do inner HTML formatted code. Const A is 1. But this is now like the whole thing. But I guess I also have to import the shiki styles. Okay, so you could even get the data structure and render it yourself. That's kind of cool. Highlighter usage shortens we provided are since Shiki v1, it requires all the themes and languages to be loaded explicitly. Highlighter.code to HTML. Yeah, so basically what we have to do, highlighter, create highlighter, and then that's still later the stream. What is this Brew though? Angular 19 feature? No, it's just a simple application I will call Brew. How did we call it? Brew Lab. The idea is to build something similar to Carbon, but like just a bit different with a custom theme. It will be Skull related. Should be a standalone page where you can paste in code, edit code, and then just download, tweet about it. So far we are, where are we so far? Yeah, I think we just broke some stuff. But basically we are trying to use this new module called Shiki, or Shiki, which is Japanese for style or something. And we are trying to load that now. So we already made like some setup. Initially we were struggling like for half an hour with some analog specific things that I just did wrong. But now we are using the new analog SFC format. That's pretty cool. And we are trying to build that page. And now we are trying to set this up. So what do? They have the highlighter, they create a highlighter, then they load the language. Throw error, JavaScript is not loaded. So I guess inside here I have to load the JavaScript language and then I can code to HTML. I don't know why this is now not async. I would expect that this is also an async. Fine grade bundle, ESM highlighter. So you create a highlighter, you load that, and they don't do like so if that is sync, I can just do formatted code.set. I just set this. It's broken. Yeah, because I'm using a wait here. Let's move that here. Does the optimize import work for .analog files? It does. So the stuff works, but now I still have like, is it because yeah, I don't feel like I get Slack dark. I don't get the highlighting there on the Shiki stuff. Somehow it doesn't feel, it feels like I get a font from wherever. I mean, that's coming from. That's just the pre that is giving it the font. But it's not the Shiki. Can be written CDN usage. Yeah, console log. Theme. How do I import the theme? I mean, let's just quickly continue. Next page, bundles. Yeah, bundle size, bundle web. The bundle includes all themes and common web languages like I mean, that's basically what we need. We need the web bundle. And now what do we do here? Highlighter. We already generate the highlighter. So why? Slack dark not found. You may need to load it first. Okay. Yeah. Slack dark. Do I have to go and load theme? I mean, that's not really written. Yeah, this type of comment I hate. Like, if the function is called load language, then why do I need a comment that says load language? Like to intro to signal feature videos. Can you maybe someday do a detailed video in signal usage? When to use it over RxJS? Where can I replace observable using it, and so on? Yeah, I mean, sure, we can do a video on that. But just as a general idea is, you should probably start using signals like whenever possible already. I would kind of recommend like use signals. So wait, let's check it like this. So let's go to Excalibur. Whoa, that's super bright. So the idea is like basically when to use signals. Why is it when to use signals versus RxJS kind of. So I would say like basically today I would use signals. So let's maybe say like this signals. So I would say signals are especially good for all kinds of like a lot of state stuff, for basically all components in all component properties. So we recently had a project where we rewrote everything to component properties, We wrote all of our component properties to signal. So we recently had that case, and that's where I would use signals for all this kind of stuff, right? Then also here, so basically for almost everything actually. Then RxJS, I would expect RxJS to use for everything that is event-based. So event-based things. So basically we can quickly forget about this actually. And I think if we summarize it in a more general way, I would say the thing is, ask yourself the following question. Does it make sense to ask for a current value? So I think this is kind of the question that you have to ask. And if you say this question, so if you ask this question and you answer it with true, then use signals. And if you answer it with false, then use RxJS. So let's say, for example, you have something like an HTTP request. Does it make sense to ask that HTTP request for a current value? The answer is no, because you just do an HTTP request, you fire it off, you get something back, boom, done. There is no like current value, like terms of current value, kind of like state, right? But let's say, for example, a form. a form, for example, it would make perfect sense to ask, what is the current state or the current value? Yeah, let's maybe use state instead of value. What is the current state of that form? Or what is the, yeah, state or value, you can use both. But what is the current state of a form? Like, is it valid? Is it invalid? Is it filled out? Is it touched? Is it not touched? This is a valid question that makes sense to ask. And therefore, signals make sense. And also, if you think about it, like, I think the Angular team will never have RxJS, will never have HTTP client signal based, because it doesn't make sense. It's an event. It's like something that happens. It's like a stream. Where on the other side, forms, they will for sure make signal based. I'm pretty optimistic about that, because there it really makes sense to ask the question, what is the current state of the thing? Like, what is the value? So I kind of used this question to ask, to answer if I should use a signal or if I should use RxJS, for example. What pattern can I use with signal? What kind of patterns? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Maybe you can specify that a bit in more detail. Would you think soon HTTP client replace observable with promise maybe? So I can replace RxJS completely with signal if I want to. So yeah, I can see that they come up with something that is promise based for HTTP client, like maybe, or just use fetch. I think you can already use fetch, but it doesn't have like all the possibilities. I think they would need to come up with something, especially in more advanced use cases when you start using interceptors and all this kind of stuff. But I think you can already use fetch, and it will probably be promise based. I guess so, but it won't be a signal. And then also now in the future, or now with Angular 18, we already have the experimental zoneless change detection. And it actually works. So initially I thought it will only work with signals, but it actually also works with other things, with normal property bindings, but only if an event occurs. So if you have something that comes from somewhere, from a backend, and you just update that property, that will not happen. But it's kind of like the on-push thing, right? So, but I think this question is like the go-to thing. So now we get that. But I do not get all those things here. Code to HTML. I don't get all those classes. I mean, they do code to HTML, themes light, dark. I do not even want that. I just want, yeah, GitHub dark. But then if I cannot say here, please GitHub dark. And then I probably should load GitHub dark, I guess. Still not. Yeah. From Shiki. Console log hello. The following HTML will be generated. Look at this. I mean, they just do. Yeah, I get the console log hello, but I do not get that chicky stuff. Like, I don't get the colors. Shiki supports outputting dual or multiple themes. Shiki dual themes, blah, blah, blah. And dark is to generate 2 themes. Okay, cool. Demo preview. Yeah, I want that, but why don't I get like the classes? I mean, if this would be the generated output that I get, like, if I would paste that in, Still. Is that sanitized away? Is it sanitized? Because if I check code, I get the colors. Do I have to... Ooh. Let's see. Let's just see. Do I have to get like a sanitizer? Inject Angular core DOM. I think it's called DOM sanitizer. And probably const. And do I have to say, well, here sanitizer dot isn't there like bypass? I thought there is. Not sure if the format is correctly understood here. Yeah, this one, I'm looking for this function. Why don't you... Yeah, cool, thank you now. Like... Yeah, here we go. So it's basically the sanitizer that was stripping away like the stuff. So we say that the min light, so probably here I can go like GitHub dark, and maybe I get an error that the theme is not loaded. I get it. Cool. So that's the Shiki. Now how can I make that into edit mode? Shiki. So query-based dark mode, class-based dark mode, multiple themes. I don't want that. Without default color, I don't need that. Decorations. Decorations. We provide a decorations API allowing you to wrap custom classes and attributes around ranges of your code. Okay, I don't want that. I don't need that. I think I don't need that. Transformers I also don't need. Theme color manipulation, migration, custom theme, custom languages. Is there like an editor? What is Monaco? To highlight Monaco editor. Monaco, the editor of the web. The Monaco editor is the code editor that powers VS Code. Okay. I was not aware of this. A good page describing the code editor's feature is here. Okay, cool. So I guess that's what we are usually using here. So I guess we have to install the Shiki Monaco. Why -D? We said only a def dependency. I believe that should be a runtime dependency. I feel like. So then, Shiki editor. So you do your stuff there. Monaco editor core. Do I have that? Yeah, I think that the Monaco editor core I do not have. I'm not sure. I do not have it. Yeah, I think I need highlighter. So basically we need to still create the highlighter. Themes, let's just go with GitHub Dark. That's probably enough. Sorry for off-topic questions. That's not an issue. Like, the stream is not just, right, I'm here coding and working a bit, but the stream is also there to just have some fun and just interact and chat. So let me quickly see, like, themes, dark. I will just read the question, like, why do I have, I mean, this can probably simplify to just one, but let's just go with this. And let's just put it here. And then I want to finish, and then I will just check the question. No, not really. Maybe, because I'm still displaying this. Yeah. I should create that editor. So probably do. Why these comments are so stupid? Yeah. It's just any. Without initializer, it will be impossible. All right. Why is it impossible? So what do we do here? Document. Okay, we want to attach this to a container, so probably we have to do. Whoa, sorry. So sorry for off-topic questions. As mentioned, that's not an issue at all. Can you do a video on how to properly use directive composition feature of Angular? I have seen examples only with styling. I guess you're speaking about directive composition. I think I have there already done like some stuff. Let me quickly see. Like, I think I have done a talk. If I remember correctly, I've done a talk at Angular TinyConf. So, isn't there? This is the blog. So I will share that here if somebody's interested. That's about generally the directive composition, where we made like an example with a pin board, where you can basically drag and drop around the pin boards, and you get that feature from Angular material. So you extend like, or did you do a draggable directive yourself? I don't remember. And I think I did a talk. Yeah, this one. So if somebody, the YouTube ads are so annoying. They are so annoying. bring a second one. Cool. So this is basically a talk where we do, yeah, this is kind of like a video about that, where we have all the stuff about directive composition, everything explained. Yeah, so I will also post it here in the chat, so feel free to check that out. Yeah, so that should be the one. So we call our template, I mean, let's just give it a class container. We would not do this like this, so we will probably use like use view child here. I guess that's the proper way to do it. Does it? It's like dot container. Why? Great. Get element by ID. So we have to give this like ID container. Now, editor is not defined, uncode in promise, so we say editor. I mean, what do we do with that editor then in the end? Like in their example, what are they doing with it? Shikimiki here. So yeah, you are generating that editor, but then cool. As you use the editor normally. I don't know how to use the editor normally, but this is HTML, or what is the editor? Standalone editor. Yeah. So we get back an editor, but highlight. So you just highlight the Monaco editor. How? Home playground documentation. So how to initialize in a browser? Is there maybe a package? NGX Monaco editor v2. 29 NGX Monaco editor. Angular 12. That sounds like pretty outdated. So let's see. So I guess we somehow have to bring that Monaco editor to life. Is there something in it? NGX Monaco editor. Yeah. I mean, this one seems pretty accurate actually. Setup, so you install the Monaco editor. I mean, we already have that. Let's see. So we get that. Why do we need that? Output. So you basically copy some stuff into the assets folder, kind of like this. It's not so cool, but yeah. I just don't know on which level it is. Angular JSON. I mean, let's just do like that's still module based. So how do we do that? We have to do like and then still in the app component, probably here we still have to import it, I guess. So the other thing is we could also I have no idea if this will work. Engine model. I don't have a good feeling about this. So maybe we'll then use still the other one. I don't know if I can get this up and running. I would be very surprised if this doesn't fail like hard. MJX Monaco editor config. How was this again with standalone components, import providers from? I think that's the correct place, or? Yeah, that's app config. I mean, that's correct. But I thought import providers from do I have to call for root still? Yeah, makes sense. Unexpected token, because we probably have that. Cannot read properties reading config. Is there like a it's control value accessor. Yeah, it's model right value. Is there on the engine model? Engine model bindings. Yeah, I mean let's do like some HTML. Let's say I would have syntax error loader reading config. So also this one generates something on the container. I do not know. Use Shiki to highlight Monaco edit. Monaco's built-in highlighter does not use the full text make grammar, which in some cases is not accurate enough. This package allows you to as you use the editor normally. Well, I don't. Let's ask ChatGPT. Hey there. Yeah. So you do that, you install those two. So he also uses ngx Monaco editor, but the first one. Yeah. And then he generates the highlighter. He defines the theme, cool. Editor options. And where define theme Shiki theme. I don't think that this makes sense. Also, is there even a highlight going on if I go to code tailor? There's no highlighting here. That's a bit sad. So that's what the Shiki could do. I mean, don't they have like Shikis Monaco? I'm wondering if they do have like how much time is it? Well, I should probably soon finish because I have to go and eat something. I don't know how to use the Monaco editor. Isn't there like an example or something like guide? Isn't there? I mean, on the Shiki page, right? If you come to directly to the main, this one, playground. This stuff is Shiki packages, Markdown, Monaco. Yeah, great. Okay, so I'm not sure. I will try to research it a bit further because I don't think this makes sense at the moment. I'll try to figure that out. Monaco. But yeah. How do you use that? JavaScript Monaco editor. Yeah. And how do you use that? The Monaco editor is a fully featured editor. Check out the VS Code Talks, blah blah blah. Yeah, you have that. Concepts, model, editors, documentation, issues. Cool, but learn how to integrate with these complete, integrate the ESM version. Learn how to use the editor API. Use plain webpack, parcel, Vite. So you create the editor on the container, yeah? And that's kind of it. Why do I need a webpack config? Using plain webpack. It sounds too crazy. I will probably go with Code Mirror. Let's go with Code Mirror because that also works. It doesn't have the proper highlighting there because I need to have it editable. And I don't know if I can pass in maybe Code Mirror. Maybe I can use it somehow. There is this package, injects Code Mirror. Let's try one last thing. So currently what we have is we get that syntax error. undefined rigging config. Yeah, NGX Markdown. So anyway, I'll try to figure this out and then I will get back at you because I have to now go and eat. So have a nice one. Ciao, ciao.